Hello everyone, welcome back to my Python UI application series. In this video I will show you how to delete users and how to update users. If you remember from previous video, we create our UI application which can add or insert users in our SQLite database and show them in our table widget. But in previous video we haven't implemented any security, so in this case, if we type space or leave blank name, this blank will be empty. This empty space will be inserted in our database, which is not correct. We have to apply some security right here. So go back to your code, and right when we click on our button to insert user, we have to check these variables. So if our variables contains any data, then we are able to insert a new row in our table. So let's go down here and let's check if name is not equal to empty string and date is not equal to empty string. So if this is true, we can insert this into our database, because we don't have to check if admin is checked, because it's a checkbox and it could be 0 or 1. So let's indent that like this and then create an else statement. And in else statement we can print a message box or a show message, whatever you want to call. If you remember, I already showed you that in one of my previous tutorials. I created a function that simplifies that approach, which I'm gonna copy and paste it right here. Okay, so we just have to call show message function and pass the title and message which are as default set to test. Okay, so else, and now we can show message and let's say error, nothing else. Okay, now we can F5 for run. And if we just try to insert our empty name, our error appears. But there is another problem. If I type space, our space is inserted. There is a simple way how we can correct that, is to add name.strip, which will remove all trailing and leading spaces in string. We have to add it to date as well, like this, and let's try run now. Now we have something here, and let's say a couple of spaces there, insert, and our error appears. Another problem is that we could type characters here, and this would cause an error as well. So I give you that as your challenge, and try to figure out on your own, and I will show you probably in next video. So let's continue. First thing we need to do is to check when we select our row, we can get ID of a user, or first just a number of just an index of row that is selected. So we will be declaring a new signal. So dlg dot name of our table widget, for me is just table widget dot, and then item selection changed, and then method we want to call dot connect, I forgot that. connect, and then let's say selection changed, and create that function right here. Okay, and let's print the test like here. So when we will click or change a selection of any row, test will be printed in our console. So let's try if this works. Here is a console, so if I click something, you can see our test is being printed. Now the next challenge is that you print out a number or index of row that is clicked or selected. For this we will create another function, because we will probably need that later as well, which will be called get selected row, let's say ID, and here we will return dlg.tableWidget current row, like this. And let's try to print that now. It's really important then when you making some big changes that you are not forgetting to test it by the way you are changing it, because it's really hard when you add a bunch of code and then you don't know where the error is. So I will call my get selected row ID function in my print in function of selection changed, which is called by the signal right here. So let's try running that now. So if I select, let's say, this row, in console should be printed number 4. It's not. Why is 3? It's 3 because it's index, and in computer science almost everywhere indexes are started counting with 0. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and it's correct that it's printed out 3. As you can see, number of row is the same as ID. So if you start with ID 0, are gonna be the same, but you have to be careful, because if you delete a user right here, this user with ID of 4 will be in index of 3 of this current row. So be careful of that, and don't make that mistake. So next thing we want to do is get ID of user that row was selected. So let's create another method which will be get selection user ID, and here we will be returning dlg.tableWidget, and here .item, because we are interested in specific item or cell in our current row, which is index, and this item will be on our selected row. So we need to call this function again, get selected row ID, and paste it right here. And here the ID or the index of column we want to print out or return in this case. So we want to print out or return ID of our user, which is in column of index 0. Okay, so let's try that. We have to change here row to user, that we are gonna print when our selection is changed our user ID. Okay, so this you can easily check with the cell that we click on. So if I click here, 1 should be printed, but our program crashes because I probably mistyped somewhere. Okay, I forgot to add .text right here, because we are interested in text in this specific cell, not in just cell as object. Okay, here we go again. Our program crashes again. Let's see what's wrong. So when we item selection change connect, selection changed is called selection changed. Get selected user ID, get selection okay, selected, really silly mistake of me. Run again, and I hope that this time will work. Click on it, and if I show you the console, you can see number 2 is printed out. So if I click on 3, 3 is printed out. But since we changed the properties of our table widget, that whole row is selected, even though if I click on admin, our ID is printed out as 1 right here. Okay, so this is good. The next thing we want to do is add some more buttons, which will be for updating and deleting. So let's go to our UI. Make sure that you open right one, and we will add a button for update and button for delete. Oops, this is not the right one. Okay. Yes. Okay, I already created that, obviously. So you don't have to add that group box. I was just testing something. So you obviously need update and delete. I put a refresh here, which is not needed. So update and delete. Don't forget to name it. I have push button underscore update, and for delete I have push button underscore del. Okay, I will save that, minimize, and now let's go here and create 2 new signals, which will be dlg.pushButton underscore del.click.connect, and here I will type delete user and copy that signal and rename it to update user, and here also rename it to update, like this. And I will create 2 new functions. So delete user, and I mistyped delete user again, so delete user, I'll just pass it for now, and update, pass as well. Okay, so first we will be deleting our user. So let's first try if our buttons work. So I will just show a message here. So show message, okay, and delete that pass. Okay, F5 for run. And if I click delete, okay, our message is shown. So now we can start with deleting our user. So first you need to get ID of user that is selected, for which we already created a function, which is get selected user ID. We can copy it here and save it to variable, like ID delete, like this. And now all we need is to call helper function from our SQLite helper. And in this video we will also need to modify our SQLite helper, because we will be adding our update function, which will contain other parameters as insert, which we created in previous video. So we will be editing those later. So where is my SQLite helper? Is this one? Yep, this one is. So let's go down here, and I will create a new function for delete, so we won't be mistaken. Delete self and query, and here I can copy everything that is in edit, paste it right here. I will just type delete here. I don't know why I can spell delete right. Okay, and here I can call helper dot delete, and here I will type delete from users where ID is equal to, and then I will add my ID delete, which was the one when we get from selected user ID function. Okay, so we delete our user from database, and then we have to refresh our table. This is done with calling those two functions, but let's create another function for that as well. So define refresh and paste those two in here like this, and instead of calling both of those, I'll just call refresh and copy that down here in our delete function, save it and run. So our deleting should work now. Okay, so now if I check one empty user right here and press delete, our program crashes, so something is wrong. But no worries, let's check it. So our delete user works, we know that for sure because we tested it. So we can comment that out and try to print our ID delete like this. Let's try to delete one user again. Instead of this case won't be deleted, but just printed out ID of user that we want to delete. So delete, and yeah, that works. So the problem is in our helper, so probably we didn't do something right. So helper.delete, are we in the same folder? Yes, we are. Okay, this works. So let's uncomment that and run again. I think the problem is in refresh. So let's go here and delete user with ID of 11, and we comment out refresh. So if I run again, our user with ID of 11 shouldn't be in here. Yes, so this works. Something is wrong with refresh, and where I have refresh, clear data and low data. Obviously with low data is nothing wrong because it's called right at the start of our application, but with clear data there is wrong since we changed our program a bit. When we added a signal for item selection changed, we have to remove that selection when we want to clear data. So go to your clear data function and add at the beginning dlg.tableWidget.clearSelection, and don't forget to copy that and add in your while loop after you are removing the first row as well. Okay, save that and run. We forgot to uncomment our refresh, so we'll have to close our program and run it again. Okay, so if I go now to okay, I have to delete it because we won't be able to test it if I don't comment it out. So let's run again quickly. Okay, now if I select our user with ID 10 and delete it, as you can see, it works just fine. We can just delete our prints now out because they are not necessary since everything works fine. Okay, so this is it. Now we can continue on updating our user. So when you want to update your user, you have to have fields when you want to update your data. So this is the best that you use the same fields that you use with inserting. So what we will do, we will, on selection changed, we will get data from that row and insert it into our line edits that we already have here for insertion. So when we will, for example, check this user, which has ID of 2 and name John. John will be displayed right here and the year will be displayed here. And if it's admin set to 1, this checkbox will also be checked. So let's add that. So when item selection changed is called function selection changed, which is right here. So here we need to fill our fields. So let's type dlg.line edit. I think line edit name is not named anything else, just line edit. Yes. So dot set text, and here we will add text that was selected. So let's copy that for date or year. I think it's date. And also we will have to check our checkbox if admin is true. So now we have to get a selected row. So selected row is equal to, we already have function for that, which is right here. And we also need a user ID, which was selected. So user ID is equal to, and for that we also have a function. Let's copy and paste it right here. And now we will set a variable name is equal to dlg.tableWidget dot, the same as we did right here. Not here, where is it, item, yeah, in get selected user item. So dot item and which row, which column, and dot text. So name dot item, and here we have selected row, and name is in column 1, and here we have to type dot text, and we can copy that for date as well. And don't forget to change that to 2. And then we also have to copy for admin, which is on index of 3. And I will probably no, I won't convert it to integer. I will just check if it's a string. So let's add if here, admin is equal to 1, like that. Then our dlg dot checkbox dot set checked is set to true, else is set to false, like this. And now we also have to set our line edits, which are variables are set right here. So name goes inside here and date goes inside here. So let's try if this works. If I select a user, you can see that name and year are inserted correctly. Let's check if we have any user with admin of 1. We don't have, so we will add one. Let's say admin and check. So insert. We have admin. If I select it, you can see it checks our checkbox. So this works. Another thing I realized right now is that when we add user, this is not removed, so you could probably be mistaken and insert it twice. So another task for you, try to make clear line edits function. And you can also add a button clear, so when we are clicking and selecting other users, you can click on clear and every field is empty after that. So I will go on now and add some functionality to our update button. Function for that I already created right here. So let's go down there, and here we will also have to get our user ID. I will call it ID update, which is equal to, again, this function that we already created. And now I have to get again our variables from our line edits. So I think I can copy almost everything from add user, since it's pretty much the same. I'll copy the whole function and paste it down there. Okay, here I'm getting our ID. Here I'm getting name, date, and admin. And if it's admin, I'm setting variable a to 1. And here I'm inserting. So here I have to change our SQL helper if I haven't done that already. So go to SQLite helper, add it. Okay, we have added, and we have to make that function the same as we did in insert. So we add inserts, and we add inserts in cursor.execute. So go here, and I won't call it inserts but updates, and updates down here as well. Okay, so now change that to edit, and instead of that I will type in update users, and then set name is equal to question mark, comma, year is equal to question mark, comma, and admin is equal to question mark, and then where ID is equal to, and then our ID update. So plus ID update. I think this is it. This should work. Let's try by running it. F5 for run. So now if I click on test and name it test 1, 2, 3 and update it, you can see here is test 1, 2, 3. But there is another problem. When we update something or add user, our table widget is being refreshed and our last row is being selected, as you can see here. So now, for example, if I added this again and remove 1, 2, 3, our admin will be selected. So update, and as you can see, our admin is selected. So another task for you is to unselect last row in our table widget. So let's test again if our deleting works. Our deleting works as well. Another thing you can do with deleting is to ask a user if he really wants to delete this user, just as a safety warning or something like that. So this is it for this video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in next one.